And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the daunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Good morning and welcome to Open Conversation on Atlantic Television Network. Open Conversation is the network's flagship political platform through which trending political news, events and stories are discussed with stakeholders. Through these conversations, ATIA uses political talks about specific issues, party system and actor to explore hope and engender positive impacts to the society. Today on Open Conversation, we'll look at the stories. First, Rivers State. Court to rule on local government commission sack. Falana demands court ruling on Rivers emergency rule. And then on politics, court declares Otomi's shadow government illegal. On 2027, presidency questions Jonathan's eligibility for presidential race. Ohanes and Dibo, Southeast leaders endorse Tinubu for 2027. And on IPOB, Soludo urges Tinubu to free Kanu for dialogue. We're open for sponsorship of the program, advert placements, news, events, coverage, and commercials. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. On Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. You can also watch us on Avo TV, Niger TV, and Ifastech TV platform. You can connect with us on our socials by subscribing, like, and share. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. And on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll delve right into the show. Do not go away.
Representing people.
representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of God.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank.
She said 3,000 is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the dumb thing. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of God.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank.
She said 3,000 is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the dumb thing. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is Nze Nze. Nze is a regular on Open Conversation and he prides himself as advocate of the masses. Good morning, Nze, and welcome.
Good morning, Oresha. I hope you're anticipating the 65th birthday of our glorious country, Nigeria.
Anticipation.
Yeah, it will have to come tomorrow.
Yeah, of course.
That's good.
Yeah,
Good morning, Nigerians.
I also have with me Chizinyo Masla. Chizinyo Masla is also a regular on Open Conversation. He is the leader ICU Group and also a socio-political analyst. Good morning, Chizi, and welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Larisha. Good morning, Nigeria.
Chizi, you're looking so good this morning, so calm, and you added weight. That's good to know.
Yeah, I want to take a second wife.
A second wife. Nze, you heard that. Nze might take exception to that. It's against your priestly belief.
No, my principle, my personal principle.
Oh, your personal principle.
Yes, I like doing one.
One would say it's personal, then it's you can't impose your personal wish on
that's
him.
why it's against my personal principle, and he has his right.
Of course.
To choose, even if I think someone had
as long as he can fund it.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on, Rivers State High Court sitting in Port Harcourt has fixed Thursday, October 2, 2025, for judgment in a suit challenging the removal of the chairman and members of the Rivers State Local Government Service Commission. The case was instituted by Reverend Goodlife Idoku Ben and 5 others who argued that their sack by the former sole administrator Ibok Ete Ebas, retired, was unlawful and without due process. The claimants, appointed by Governor Simlaye Fubara and confirmed by the Rivers State House of Assembly, maintained that their appointments were valid and could not be terminated by the sole administrator. They further contended that only the governor and the House had the authority to remove them from office, not an interim administrator acting on behalf of the state government. Justice Frank Oyiri, who presides over the matter, had earlier ordered that the status quo be maintained, restraining Ebas from inaugurating a new commission. After adjourning the matter on Monday for additional time, the court will now deliver its ruling on October 2. The defendants include the former sole administrator, the State Accountant General, Access Bank, Zenith Bank, and 11 others. Nze, I will start from you. What do you make of this story?
Yes, in government you have issues from time to time, and when such issues come, we expect that the court will have to come in, perhaps to give interpretation to what the law says concerning a particular matter. And in this case, we felt that at a point when the sole administrator removed the Local Government Service Commission, he shouldn't have done that, because according to them, they said they were appointed by the governor, the elected governor, and screened by the assembly. But I don't know whether if it was assembly under Martin Samuel or assembly under Edison here or Victor Okojumbo. I don't know which of the assembly that screened them. But whichever way, I think God has fixed a date for hearing and perhaps delivering judgment on that. And everybody should keep their hands folded, waiting for the court declaration. Because there are several things we don't know that the court may need to dig out in the course of their investigation. So until they give verdict on that, then we'll know where to stand.
All right, Chizi, what is your take on this story?
Yeah, like Ize did say, of course, firstly is to find out whether they were actually
the house that
the house
screened
firstly,
them.
the house that screened them, whether it was a
That would determine whether it was legal or illegal.
whether it was a forum or assembly.
Oh,
because that's the first thing we need to know. And again, there's a twist to it. You know, like as they also did say, I like, you know, for courts to give judgment. Sometimes people may say this judgment is going to just be academic, but you know, even if it's, whether it's academic or not, it's going to teach us something. You know, going to act introduce to our knowledge on how things should be done. But there's the other one is that, do you know now that Abbas is out, and so is he coming as a person, or the governor will have to take over that because the governor is sitting now? You know, that's just so I mean,
to some extent, it has been overtaken by events.
You may see that on Tuesday. I mean, on second.
On Thursday.
Thursday, right? Then on second, that you may see that play out. I'm not trying to preempt this court. You may see that play out to say, okay, now give back the. Go back to the governor to ask him to come and answer to that. You know, but again, I would have wished, even though the court cannot stop now, I would have wished that all of these people withdraw so that the governor has a right now. He has an assembly, has a right to resubmit. He has a right to even dissolve those appointments and now bring forth a new appointment for our state. I think so.
Well, one would be wondering. At the position, I'm just interested, curious, more like I'm just curious to see how this is going to play out, because at the end of the day, one would say that this matter of emergency rule is before the Supreme Court, and no lower court will entertain matters relating remotely or otherwise to the emergency rule. Because now, if they rule that Abbas does not have the power,
they also say,
then they are saying that the judge, you know, by implication, has given judgment on the emergency rule, right? If he rules that Abbas has the power, it means that he has also given judgment on the emergency rule. So one would say, to play safe, you just strike it out.
No, not really striking it out. See, there is technicalities to these things. And I believe that a good judge will see how he will maneuver his ways. Like looking at the sacking of the Local Government Service Commission, the judge might come from the angle that there was no reason for the sack. Not that the sacker does not have right to do so.
Now, if you say the sacker does not have the right to do so, one would say that the person that gave the judgment, that sacked, at that point had the right to do that.
No, what I'm saying is that in the context of that matter, that
it's not about who has right.
It's not about who has right or who does not have right. But the time of sacking does not require either the
question is
the man didn't get up to the requirement of the law to do that, or there was no reason for that. If there was no reason for that, and the man had gone ahead to do, which you know, Abbas might not be willing to come back to Rivers State to answer cases.
Now, the question I want to ask is, the appointment of the Local Government Commission, Chizi, this goes to you. The appointment of the Local Government Commission, does it have a time frame? That it must be 4 years.
If you use the word must, every commission is appointed with a tenure. Every commission. But that does not stop the governor having found one or two things to dissolving them. It's not. The governor can change them, and you know, but they have tenure. They serve a tenure. So, like what is he saying? That a court can, you know, technically take on the tenure
On the tenure.
Yes.
The governor can look on the basis of the sack, the reasons for the sack, and fault the reasons.
The reasons,
for the
not
sack.
whether the person has
right or not.
That's what we say.
That's a smart one.
Yes. Well, I hope has not seen, is not teaching, because you know sometimes you see this is it. They have a way of getting to the judges. Whether he's trying to suggest how the judge will technically do that.
Cheese is just
no, cheese is just fresh now. You know, for some time we've not.
He has been resting.
And you know, if you look at the jaws, it's just you know, advancing. But however, he would always like to hit on me. But I don't want to, as a senior brother, I wouldn't retaliate. I would retaliate. I would not retaliate as a senior brother.
All right. Yeah. Still on River State, human rights lawyer Femi Falana, SAN, has called on the judiciary to urgently rule on the legality of the emergency rule recently lifted in River State. He warned that failure to do so would set a dangerous precedent and risk the abuse of Section 305 of the Constitution, which empowers the president to declare a state of emergency. President Bola Tinubu had on September 17, 2025, announced the end of emergency rule in Rivers State, restoring Governor Simlaye Fubara and other elected officials. Tinubu acknowledged the controversy generated by his proclamation, noting that over 40 suits challenging the declaration were already pending across different courts. Falana argued that the Rivers cases involve live constitutional issues beyond the governor's reinstatement, including the president's powers to suspend state officials, appoint administrators, and dissolve executive bodies. He urged the courts to interpret key constitutional sections without delay, stressing that inaction will leave Nigerian democracy vulnerable to political manipulation. Chizi, what is your take on this matter?
I have always supported what the court will rule. You know, like I said, even if it's good also to be academic, it gives us. We don't need to learn more, you know, from whatever that is there, isn't it?
Yes.
But that means that the Supreme Court also will have to take their time to study, so that they don't give a judgment that they will say that judgment cannot be set as precedent. You know, there was a judgment that the Supreme Court gave in 2007. You know, that was the judgment involving Right Honorable Rotimi Amechi, the former governor. And today you can't quote that judgment. So the Supreme Court also have to take their time, like to take all of those, you know, issues, you know, into cognizance and bring us, because it's actually going to be, because if there's a lacuna in law that has not spelled out whether a sitting governor should be suspended or not, so that whether it's unfair or it's not unfair, so their judgment may have to just give an interpretation to that. And as soon as it gives an interpretation to that, we may not have to be arguing whether the president has a right or not and what should be. So what that judgment will tell us is to begin to interpret certain sections of those laws. What is it that must happen before this happens? And if it does happen, what are the extent to which it will now? Because if not, it will allow us to begin to interpret what they call the suspensions of government, you know, and all of that. So it is no longer enough. The Supreme Court is there, but to say that they should quickly, you know, begin to, it's just that, like I said, Femi Falana is somebody I respect, not because I respect him for anything, but because I used to hear about him. It's somebody who is older than me, not for anything, because I've not seen him, he has not seen issues that he brought to bear. He has not even won cases. How many cases has he won? But I'm talking about, but what I'm going to say here is that he should allow the court, for now, Rivers State, we are trying to embrace peace, whether cosmetic or not. Let us begin to see that, other than reminding us of how did their mother die, let's go back to this place. Allow the court to do their listen and take their time to do it. There are cases even in the US that were ruled just like 3, 4, 5 years, even 10 years after. You understand? If you notice a case of graft that, you know, that was ruled in China very recently, you know, where someone was jailed for $38 billion, you know, million.
The person was jailed or sentenced to death.
Sentenced to death. You know, that case, when did it start? 7 years ago, isn't it? So, but today, it's just to teach people something. So, let's not be in a hurry. As much as I want because of course, people will say justice delayed is justice denied. It's been denied already. If it was going to help to reinstate the governor or otherwise, it's been denied. So, it's just going forward so that we can learn from it. And if they're going to do it, they should now apply wisdom and make sure they're going to define it in such a way that Nigerians will understand that, well, what you have done before was right, or what you have done is wrong. Let's not do it this way again.
Right. Very well. Nze, what's your take on this story?
Government is a continuum. And it is on that premise that I'm supporting the Femi Falana's plea for the judiciary to issue a judgment on this. Because this is the first time such thing is happening. We've not seen it before. We've seen state of emergency.
Obasanjo has declared state of emergency.
Hold on. I said we have seen declaration of state of emergencies.
Obasanjo declared state of emergency and suspended the governor during his time.
Of course.
That was it Almesia or Darie?
This is not the first time.
No, but when the governor was suspended, was he taken out of office? Yes. And the legislature too suspended?
The executive arm was suspended.
Okay, only the executive arm.
Yes.
Now, this is the first time we are seeing this kind. That the governor was suspended, the executive arm was suspended, the legislature was suspended, which is the two elective offices in a state. Judiciary is not elective, it is appointive office. Now, Mr. President, at the helm of affair, as a commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, had done this, suspending the executive. In fact, he suspended democracy.
Was there democracy in Rivers State?
No, I mean that for the fact that we can call this the legislators, this one the governor and the whatever. And this is what ensures democracy. And he suspended both. So he suspended democracy for the first time in a state that we are seeing in Federal Republic of Nigeria. And, a lot of, just as the president says that over 40 cases have been filed in different courts challenging or seeking, if I may use the word, I think that should be the better word to use, seeking a better interpretation to this. Because we can't actually, as at that time, we shouted, we talked, we cried foul, and we saw that the Mr. President was adamant. Could it be there was something he knew that we'd never know? Could it be there was something the lawyers had told him that we are not privy to? Now, he was adamant until 6 months elapsed, and he saw that the parties have come together to say, yes, we've made peace, we can now work together. And he...
Did it work or did it not work?
You mean the declaration of emergency?
Did it work or did it not
I know
work?
There are several ways to kill a rat. There are several ways to mend fences.
Political resolution failed, legal solution failed, dialogue failed.
Then emergency rule.
Everything that would have made sense failed. And then emergency rule came. And everybody had to, go back to status quo by force. Now, the third parties were no longer involved. They had to sit themselves down and decide that we can no longer be out of governance. So let us find a way to make sense. So the question would be that even though it was an unconventional a very controversial decision, did it or did it not work?
No, these things are not just coming from blues. Remember that we are societal in nature. And all these things have been happening in different ways. There are times that two persons will be fighting and you are trying to separate and they are not agreeing. As at those times we were in the village, you just go to the bush, collect cane. As you flock, they will separate themselves. Remember, initially you have been struggling to separate them. They are even giving you some blows.
It worked.
So it worked in a sense. But I know that at the time the governor saw himself bereft of power, the assembly saw themselves bereft of power. Everybody had now to fold hands.
So which means it worked.
It worked.
All right.
Yeah, though not we are still expecting the court to give us interpretation on that.
Chizi, go ahead.
They said something that we are actually saying, no, that's not the first time. This is actually the first time, the kind of it that is happening. This is the first time that we are having two assembly operating in the state. The first time. This is the first time before the declaration of the emergency. This is the first time where a governor cannot submit a budget to an assembly and an assembly does not recognize the governor. This is the first time it happened. And so the court also pronounced that we didn't have government. The court told us that we didn't have government. So what the president pronounced was as a result of the court's judgment. We didn't have government. So please go and reinstate the government. And the worst of our own kind was that even the local government we didn't have. So in the case where Obasanjo ruled, they had assembly. that didn't, probably what the assembly would have done was to either impeach the governor or all of that. The issues were far above the assembly. And so you have to remove the persons at which deaths the decision stops. And they remove this. So a governor has been suspended before, but there has not been any case where they didn't have a lacuna was created at the local government, and then there was a void in the state where 2-3 assemblies were going to pass laws. That was anarchy. And the court did pronounce that.
And they were declaring each other's seats vacant. This one will write to INEC to come and conduct election. This other one will write to INEC to come and conduct election.
When people say we're there war, I said, do you know what they call political war? When that kind of thing, it has the capacity of the... See, I was just in the local government the other day. We don't want to resonate all of that because we want peace. I was in the local government the other day, and I went to see the extent. I haven't seen it before. The extent of the damage of that bomb that happened in the local government is going to cost that local government nothing less than the 200 million to fix. I'm being frank because the integrity of even that building has been compromised. Of course, when there's a bomb, certain foundations shakes. The integrity of that building is compromised. In fact, yesterday I was telling I got there. What's it called? The legislators took me around and I told them, it's even on Facebook. I told them there, guys, if you want to dwell on bringing back this thing, you have to just do a makeshift and stay. If you have to dwell on bringing back this thing, that means that you are not going to do anything for us. And we can't waste time on the political issues that people have and not have dividends that we all want. I told them there yesterday, it was on Facebook. Because if you look at that, so the question would be, what would have cost war? What would the president have done? And so he declared a state to say, okay, come back and let us see. When he saw that the assembly now and this thing are coming back together, of course he has to call. And of course that's after the 6 months has elapsed. Because where he would have said, okay, was it just when he called, would have been at the point they just met, and then the next day he calls, he stops the declaration. It looks like it's political. He waited in 6 months, meaning that 6 months is renewable. Maybe you don't know, it's renewable. It's a renewable 6 months. So what we are saying is that he didn't renew it. Now again, if you also look at the tips of what is happening right now, since the governor is back, since he came back, and then the legislators, I'm beginning to see some crack. And I'm warning already. I'm beginning to see some crack. It looks like those peace accords were, let me accept to come back, both from the assembly and from the governor. Because I'm not seeing that synergy. If these people does not want to work for us for Rivers State, they should resign. I'm not talking about the governor, I'm talking about both the governor and the assembly. Because I'm beginning to see crack. I'm not seeing the assembly came and immediately announced that they please submit that budget. You know what I mean? See, let me even say this. I'm sorry if I have to say this here. But let me even say this. Now, when you say this has been the issue, the budget, right? When you say they submit the budget, do you know what the assembly is saying? The assembly is saying, even we do not recognize the budget of a bus. So they are for you. Get what I'm saying?
Bring the budget that you want to work with.
Not the one the bus
wants to work with. So even if that amount of money has been released, work out the way you want to spend the money. And allocate the money.
Submit your nominees of these things. What can be more reconciling than that? Bring those things. That means that you can, including the commission if you want it, you can bring them to the assembly.
This local government service commission.
All of these commissions.
You can present them again.
Present them again to this place. Bring all of them so that we will have a face that we appointed. That's what those people are saying. So those people are saying, okay, let's work together. And do you know what? Can I shock you? I have not also heard that since the resumption of the governor, do you know where the governor is supposed to address Rivers State? It's in the assembly. At this resumption. That's where the governor is supposed to address Rivers State. The governor and the speaker, and all the governor was supposed to write the speaker and say, I'm coming. Because they have reconciled. You go there, we'll talk, and all of us will see speaker there, and the governor, that means that the governor had recognized that speaker, and all of us will see the speaker go to wait for the governor and welcome him into the chambers. Those are the kind of things we should be seeing. Yet, all we have seen now is everybody has gone back to their place, staying. This is not what we asked for. This is not the peace we are asking for. Don't forget. That's why I say so that we don't spoil what we have. You know, my people say, when you finish farming, Loretta, I keep accusing you haven't gone to farm before. You know, when you farm, when you do all of those cutting, they said just do it in such a way that the monkeys will not come and begin to jump on it again. let me tell you, one thing about reconciliation, about having conflict, is that it has a way of making you stronger.
Yeah.
The second thing about conflict resolution is that it has a way of destroying you finally. Because if you do any other thing, everybody's a suspect now. So it's no longer like, oh, this guy will repent. No. It's a matter of everybody take extreme action and let what will happen, happen. Let them not allow the president laugh at us and say, you people couldn't hold your this thing. Let them not even give him the right to say, okay, let me now bring another Cross River State man, because we had 2 Cross River State governors, coming to River State. We had 2 RESEC chairmen from Cross Rivers, one in Cross River, one in River State. It is us that is causing it. So I have not seen that. The governor went on the Thanksgiving. Of course, everybody will have a right to go for Thanksgiving. And I saw the people in Corona local government chairman there, and I didn't see other local government chairman. They stopped me now. I asked these people, why didn't you go for your governor's Thanksgiving? Answer, we didn't know.
The local government chairman said they didn't know.
They didn't know.
They were not invited.
Yes, you see, let me tell you something. A local government chairman, like the governor, does not attend the president's function, hearing it on NTA. They are always invited. Get what I'm saying? When people say, oh, we didn't see them there, did you ask them? I went there. Why didn't I see? Governor? In fact, I asked the local government chairman of Ikwe local government why he didn't go to welcome him at the airport when he was coming from the first day. And he said, who should be there to welcome him? The governor, if not him. But he has to interact with them and say, sir, the governor is coming. That's the person they should call.
I say because the airport is under Ikwe local government.
So that's the person. He said, I knew that he came just like you saw it on television. So we need to. So that time I forgave them, maybe because even the people here, you remember that the first day people just mobilized themselves. Those who want to find the embarrass of problem, who just wanted everything, mobilized themselves and went to the first day, to welcome him at the airport. I mean at the government house, and then he didn't come that day. The next day he came. You remember the former minister, the minister of FCT did say that he spoke with him and he told him, he was even defending him. Must he resume that day? He's a governor, he has other function that he would have also had done, and so he came the next day. So the protocol, because then he was not a governor, that's why he didn't need to be inaugurated or sworn in again, because he needed a governor. So coming back as governor now, all the protocol must be observed as governor. You see, the way I will come to the studio is not the way a governor will come to the studio. If a governor is coming to the studio, there will be people who he has sent. They will tell you. In fact, if a governor is coming to the studio, you'll be shocked that your chairman will be the one welcoming a governor to the studio, because it's protocol. But if a governor walks in like cheesy, who is ordinary, who will welcome me? In fact, even if that saw me at the gate didn't welcome me. So who will welcome me? So you see that most of these things we need to tie our knots so that we don't have those loose ends, and all of these people who frame, do this, who will always remind us of our wounds, will not be reminding us. Those whose POS have been paused will not come and upgrade it again. Let us do something as brothers. And I think that if you know Wike, why would I even defend Wike? Defend Wike, what am I getting from Wike? But if you know Wike very well, you will know that Wike he has shown openly in this country that Wike is one person that quarreled with you yesterday, and today you are his best of friend and has you over sensitive issues. If you know, Wike said, and I know, my people told me, Wike said, even in the local government, that they're going to call him, okay, I'm coming to your house. I said, no, you're governor, please. You can't come to my house. Let me come to your house. And then he drove to his house. And so, all of this, let us not start something. I think that the team for SIM and the team for the assembly should stand up and work together as one.
I think
if not, 2027 is coming. We may not vote them.
I think if I may have a drop in this.
Go ahead.
First, viewers should not think cheesy to be as ordinary as he's saying. Just to correct that impression. Secondly, Nze welcomed Chizzy when he came in, because since there was already in the compound when Chizzy was
welcomed him
and
at the gates.
So those 2 points should be
noted.
Then
it is noted.
I want to make appeal to the executive governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Amopu Senebo Similai Fubara, that he should, in fact, I am volunteering myself, Chizzy and perhaps few other persons, to work behind the curtains to make sure that this crack that is coming up is not noticed. Because we believe that the fire has quenched. Why is there still smoke? Mr. President had done what he needed to do. Mr. Governor had come to give a speech. The assembly had sat. And there are little things that need to be. Because, look, until you remove the little foxes that destroys the vine, they are little, but they can cause a great damage. This is Rivers State that belong to all of us. Now, if we must strive, if Rivers State must succeed, if Rivers State must see prosperity, there must be peace. And now we see that actually the governor is doing his thing, the assembly members are doing their thing, but there is no how the sheep of this state will keep selling, except there is a synergy, complete peace. Not a kind of a relative peace. We want a complete peace, where the assembly speaker can on his own drive to governor's house and meet him, and 2 of them will talk. Not even going with a driver. He will drive his vehicle, go there. And the governor, at some point, you want to discuss some certain things. Either you call the speaker or you drive to his place. Because as a child, when I was growing up, I had a few old men that I took as friends. And they're the ones that mentored me and cultured my life. That's why he could be as good as he is today. I don't behave like my mates. That's why I don't take ogogoro. So you see that sometimes these people, we just walk around as if they're coming to visit my father. They actually came to me. By the time they finish, they say, when you are through with what you are doing, come. I want to tell you something. And I will go. They will send me on errand. I will go and return. They will bless me, discuss few things with me, and things like that. So I am volunteering to work with the River State government to secure complete peace in this brouhaha that we are just coming out from. Let the assembly, let the local government share, because look at the lacunas that Chizzy pointed here. That a kind of Thanksgiving of such magnitude is coming up. Not just personal, not just personal Thanksgiving, but national celebration. And we didn't see the three arms of government being represented. No, now somebody should have said, my friend, this is what should be done, this is what should be done. And you don't demean the assembly speaker. You don't demean the assembly members. They are representing their people as much as the governor is representing everybody. So if the man in charge of Opobonkoro is called because governor is he's representing the governor in Opobonkoro, what of the man from Obiapo? What of the man from Abua? What of the man from Oboebo Mandoni? Does it mean these people are not represented in Rivers calculation? No. So if the governor can be, if I may say, magnanimous enough to bring us in, there are several things will help him solve before they happen. Governor was returning. The local government, the landlord of airport, was not aware. How can such kind of thing happen? Because you see that it was just governor's friends who volunteered to be there. Who then is managing the governor's protocol? Who is managing his protocol that cannot fix things aright? In case he does not know, or the governor does not know, because we all know that governor is a first-timer in this political thing, there are several things he needs to be taught. Because we fought in his side when the crisis was ongoing, and we wouldn't want the crisis to repeat. So anything we can do, irrespective of the pains and sacrifices it may take, just as the governor has said that there is no price that is too much for peace to reign in Rivers State. So we are ready now to help him provide those little assistance and services so that we will enjoy full-time peace and prosperity in Rivers State.
All right. All right, very well. But then as we round up this conversation, it still boils down to what Femi Falana has said when he's saying that the court has to rule on River State emergency rule. Now, you on the other hand, you're saying that it is very important so that a precedent will be set.
Yeah.
Chidi is saying that what's the rush? I mean, the definite judgment will be given, but whenever it comes, right? And Chidi is also saying that that's not the first time that is happening, though in that instance, only a governor was suspended, not the legislature. But then, when you look at the Constitution, yes, there is provision in 305 for emergency rule, declaration of state of emergency. However, the River State situation was not covered by the Constitution. The Constitution provided for emergency rule, you know, in a situation of war, threats to breakdown of public law and order and safety, right? When the economy of the nation is being compromised or is under threat, which in River State, one would also argue that, because when the president was speaking, the president said that the economic lifeblood of the country was threatened, I mean, with pipeline explosions, and you know that its economy is heavy on oil. Now, but those things are, for me, the manifestation of a much more foundational crisis, which has to do with the fact that the legislature and the executives were two parallel lines that refused to cross. The governor de-recognized the legislature. The legislature insisted, and the governor at some point started functioning with 4-man assembly, and then later reduced to even 3. Well, the court called them Forum of Friends, so I will use Forum. So, meanwhile, the State House of Assembly was being ignored, and even though judgments came, the governor insisted on working with the Forum of Friends until the Supreme Court. And even when the Supreme Court judgment came, your guess was as good as mine, the ego play that was happening that even delayed the submission of budget, and then threats of impeachment came. But then, when you look at the Constitution does not cover River State crisis, where the executive and the legislature are actually the arrowheads of the crisis.
Okay.
There is nowhere in the Constitution in 305 where the Constitution stated that if there is political crisis of the nature of River State, this is what
between the two
president,
between the two arms of the government.
So if there is no government, then what is the reason for lack of government? Is the governor and the legislature. So how do you make peace that has defied political solution, that defied court judgments, legal solution? How do you make that peace that had defied everything? You understand? And for a year plus, the state is still running like a train that is on speed lane without brakes. But then it is what it is. That is why I asked that question. I'm still asking that question again. If there are allegations, the president is coming under fire for overreach of the Constitution, I will ask that question again. What Constitution did he break?
Is this not why we are now waiting? Because there is a limit to my knowledge in terms of Constitution and laws of the land. There is a limit. I'm not a lawyer. But the Supreme Court, which is not just in fact, to me, I would call it a constitutional court, will rule. They will tell us the overreach of the state, His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Or they will also show us where he breached, where he got it right. And by the time they make this statement, in this particular case, it will be added to the Constitution. Because just as you rightly said that River State's case matter was not covered, was not represented, was not cited in the Constitution. Now it has happened. So it is the Constitutional Court that will make a statement. that we either legalize or counter the actions of Mr. President. So
right.
that's why everybody is still, even all the judges in other lower courts are being careful not to make statements in that regard until Supreme Court comes up with a judgment.
Yeah, let me tell you, that even the Bible, John speaking said, not all that Christ had done is written. Because if they were, see, there wouldn't have been a book big enough to contain them. And that's how the Constitution is. You'll be shocked that the book called the Constitution of US is smaller than our own Constitution in volume. You know why? Because, you see, the Constitution has divided and left this thing, separated the powers. We have the legislators who makes the law, is that correct? And then we have the executive who that executes the law. And then we have the judiciary that interprets the law. The reason why all of these things comes is because the fact that you made the law, that the executive is good executive law. Like you have just mentioned, those kind of things that should, before a state of emergency is. Now, what people don't understand is that when there is anarchy allows this thing. The reason why you see us walking into this place by exact time is because there's rule made by the leadership of this place. And when you don't have leadership, anybody can walk in here, there will be a crowd in here in this studio doing whatever. And so, in the absence of leadership, there's anarchy. All of those things that you mentioned that should be a signal for a state of emergency will occur. So a proactive government, when you know that this thing is threatening, you will know how to solve that problem. And again, all of those things you say, who will tell you that there is economic sabotage? It is the intelligence that goes to the president. It is not us. Who will tell us? Who will tell the president? The president will know when the economy is under threat. It is not what we tell the president. It is because they know what they do. You see, they don't expect them to tell you what it is. They know there's intelligence that runs to the president to tell the president, Mr. President, even the court will find it difficult to define what is an economic threat. Because the president, the MDAs or the agents of the president that gives intelligence to the president will tell the president all of that. But like I will likely say, they have said it over and over, that it is not just to come and address the River State and say, well, welcome, let us embrace peace, I can do everything, I can sacrifice. It is not to say, governor, do this and all of that. John the Baptist says, bring forth the fruit of your repentance. There's something they call the fruit of your repentance. If you say, I've embraced peace, let's see the fruit of the peace. Let us see something in actions. Let us begin to see those things put in actions. You will be shocked that as soon as those things are put in actions, some of us who support the assembly, some of us who do not support the assembly, some of us who support the governor, and those of us who do not support the governor will go back. And the real people will begin to come. That's why they will even be looking for people who can solve these issues.
Right.
I'm thinking that what I would have seen all over time is that there is a meeting. They have announced a meeting
that the government, the governance will be, both the government, the governor and Rivers State House of Assembly will hit the ground running. Having stayed out of the loop of things for 6 months.
So they will come together, meet informally, call them together, we'll drink wine. Boy, how we'll do this thing? Let's see what. Then you begin to see Peace and Reconciliation Committee in all local government going around. Please let me not even give them idea that are sellable. Going around and doing all of this.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to see. So, fruit of repentance, fruit of peace.
All right. Very well. And moving forward, Federal High Court in Abuja has ruled that the shadow government formed by former presidential candidate Professor Pat Otomi is unconstitutional and illegal. Justice James Omotosho held that the concept of a shadow cabinet is alien to the 1999 Constitution and Nigeria's presidential system of government. The court restrained Otomi and his associates from proceeding with the plan, insisting that they cannot hide under the right to criticize government to engage in unlawful acts. The case was filed by the Department of State Services, which accused Otomi of attempting to usurp President Bola Tinubu's executive powers. The DSS argued that the move could destabilize the country by inciting unrest, intergroup tensions, and encouraging other unlawful groups to replicate similar parallel structures. The agency described Utomi's shadow cabinet as a direct threat to national security and constitutional order. According to court filings, Utomi had already announced a shadow cabinet with designated portfolios and advisors, prompting the DSS to seek a restraining order. The court declared the structure unconstitutional, null, and void, citing sections 1 and 14 of the Constitution, which vest sovereignty and governance solely in duly established democratic institutions. Nze, what do you make of the story?
As a Nigerian, as a citizen of this country, if there was a shadow government, I don't know. And it is alien to my knowledge. We've not seen such. What is the work of the shadow government? Is it to criticize the executive government or to point direction to the government? What is their work? Will they implement any law? Will they carry out any developmental project? Will they issue governance? What is the essence? I think I love Utomi, Pat Utomi, and his style of doing things. But just knowing that we are all humans, we cannot know to a certain extent. I think that the claim of the DSS that this kind of government, if it is allowed, will give room to some other groups that might cause a breach of peace in our society. So to me, I think I applaud the judgment of Omotosho for now on this regard. And let whoever also want to come up with such idea suspend that forthwith, knowing that if we actually want this state, this society, this Nigeria to progress, everybody must put hands together to say no to what is bad and say yes to what is good. The area the government of Tinubu is doing well, we support him. The area he's not doing well, we will shout foul. And that's my take on that.
All right. Chizi, what is your take on this story?
That judgment is as shadow as the shadow government.
How do you mean?
Yes, it didn't give any judgment. What's that judgment? You know, I'm beginning to, when I saw this judgment, I'm seeing, firstly, let me say that maybe we are having a repented DSS. Maybe because this is 25 years of this new democracy, and of course you know that there's hardly, maybe the negligible percentage of people who are in DSS now were those who were recruited before the democracy, because 80% of them are 25 years. To be 25 years in service means that it's just within 2000, so they're like a democratic DSS. What is Nnamdi Kanu doing in prison? When Utomi cannot go to prison, what is Nnamdi Kanu doing in prison? The offense you accused him, and there is offense somebody had come out openly to say, I am forming a government. What do you mean by shadow government? And you're looking at it as dark? And this judgment came and said, I just became advisory, like what you will say, it is not right. Without naming the sentence. Why did Awolowo go to prison? Why? So what is happening with all of these persons? Why am I not seeing Utomi in prison? Or this court says that Utomi should go for 25 years jail.
Because he was that the shadow government is a parallel government that will control, that basically controls government.
Somebody just came up. That is cool. You just came up and you want to announce government. What did Abiola do? That they even accuse Abiola that he
wants to announce. So, Pat Utomi
no, what I mean is that if announced a parallel government, there are two republics in Nigeria. So why are you? So please release Nnamdi Kanu that you're even accusing him. Because once people who secret cow, it doesn't matter how brilliant you are. If you go overboard, let the law. So if I said today that I'm not the president of Nigeria, they will just leave me because it's one to me. I mean, it's somebody I respect for his intellectualism, but now I know that he's only brilliant, he's not intelligent. Because there's a sharp difference between being brilliant and being intelligent. What are you saying? That a man came and did that, and DSS went to court, which is a little bit civil, And then they went to court. And the court, the motor show is giving judgment and advising, like what I would have done. So why did they go to court? There's no punishment for that. There's no fine. There's no imprisonment for doing that because they are found him guilty of doing that. That's what judgment means. But they didn't pronounce any punishment for that. What is that? There was no judgment. There was no punishment.
Interesting perspective.
Yes,
they only declared it unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional, meaning that he's guilty. If it's unconstitutional, so that means what is the law? Why is it there? All of those people that accepted those appointments, where are they? They should be in Kuje or in maximum prison now. I'm looking for appeal. See, you know, the difference between one society and the other society is law. And that there are people who are not secret. You know, we came here the other day. We said somebody is saying no, everything. I don't want to use the word nonsense, so you don't choose me out of this studio.
Please
Even though I've referred it.
Don't use it.
I've referred it anywhere you want to do. So that somebody is saying all of those things he's saying, and somebody is still walking. Somebody is challenging and calling the city president anything, and still walking the street. Somebody is insisting that he will not apologize, and still walking the street. And then Nnamdi Kanu is there.
Now, very quickly, before we get to Nnamdi Kanu's story, because that's the next story, let's just look at, for a lot of our viewers that may be wondering what shadow government is, let me just quickly break it down. It says that it's a secret or parallel government. Basically, it exists within the realm of conspiracy theories. It said it refers to a secret cabal or powerful but unelected people who are thought to manipulate the publicly elected government for their own agenda. That this is the various, I'm going to give various definitions. It operates parallel to the official state apparatus with the real power lying with private individuals, organizations, or even foreign entities. In some versions of the theory, the shadow government acts as the man behind the man, controlling events while the official leaders are mere figureheads. Now, for parliamentary systems that you could find in UK, Canada, and all of that, you know, shadow government, shadow government could be seen as official opposition composed of prominent members of the largest opposition party. Now, for their roles, each member of the shadow cabinet is appointed to shadow a specific minister in the government. For example, for defense secretary, we'll have a shadow defense secretary who will scrutinize his work. Now, for the purpose, their role is to critically examine the government's policies, hold them accountable, and present alternative policy options. This allows them to function as an alternative government and prepare to take office if their party wins the next election. Now, within the Nigerian context, of course, Pat Utomi announced plan to form a shadow government. The Federal High Court declared this unconstitutional, stating that Nigeria's presidential system does not allow for a parallel government structure and ruled that criticizing the government is a constitutional right, but establishing a separate parallel structure is not. Now, in this instance, right, like Chizzy has rightly said, are people being treated like sacred cows in the country? Like if one is, I'm just trying to imagine that certain persons had even dared to think of it, just to the mere thought of even saying it out, you know. But in this instance, Pat Utomi had announced that and also even giving people portfolios. Nigeria is an interesting country, actually.
Do you know one thing by
yes,
Laurentia? You know, these things that are happening is going as far as building a mountain of ethnic bias in this country. You know, Chizzy said something that, what is Nnamdi Kanu doing in prison? Now, what was Nnamdi Kanu's offense? That he wanted secession. Secession means forming a new government outside the existing government that will take charge of a certain portion of the country. The same thing now Utomi has
secession,
done.
when you say that, that's it, no. Secession
I wanted to say that.
Secession is not what you said is not secession. No. Secession is they want independence.
That's what I'm saying now. Cutting off. I said cutting off a certain section of the country.
Yes,
I think I made that statement. It's cutting off a certain section of the country, creating a government to govern that place. And you see that why the Eastern region was still a part and parcel of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now these people have come to form a government in that particular region called indigenous people of Biafra. And for that reason, Nnamdi Kanu must die. And they held him for a long time on that basis. And look at Utomi now from another part of the country, forming a government. Though I don't know the members of the cabinet of his shadow government, but that shadow government was formed. I think that was 2023. And now in 2025, the court is coming to annul it and declare it as null and void, and letting him go and still holding Nnamdi Kanu, which we keep on crying that is Igbo hate by this same government.
All right, very well.
It is not acceptable.
Very well. Now, just hold that thought. Talking about Nnamdi Kanu. Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Soludo has called on President Bola Tinubu to release Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, to enable his participation in a dialogue on the future of the Igbo nation. He made the appeal on Monday during the 2025 World Igbo Day celebration in Oka, organized by Ohaneze Igbo Worldwide. Soludo emphasized the need for the Igbo to reflect on their past and engage in honest conversations about their stake in the Nigerian project. He urged unity and collaboration with both regional and international blocs, while commending Ohaneze for setting aside September 29 to honor those who died in the struggle for nationhood. The governor cautioned against renewed agitations for conflict, stressing that those who had witnessed war would never desire its return. He further urged Ohaneze to take stronger action against insecurity in the southeast and lead a moral rebirth anchored on integrity, hard work, and enterprise to revive Igbo values. Chizi, now you were talking about shadow government and the judgment given with regards to shadow government and Pat Otomi's participation in formation of shadow government in Nigeria, and the fact that there were no punishments for Pat Otomi forming shadow government. Meanwhile, Nnamdi Kanu is being held for, according to you, similar matter. Now, Soludo is calling for a release of Nnamdi Kanu, and he's not the first, he's not the second, he's not the 10th. You know, I'm interested to know your take on this matter.
Yes, if not for anything, the court has also validated that call. Because you see, let me even say this. What Nnamdi Kanu is calling for is not an alternative government. Now, a sensation, you know, taking away from a particular entity does not mean that you have to even fund the government of the nuclear entity you are calling for. You're only saying, we want to be one, allow us the right to decide where we want to be. We want to be one, and when we now be one, the constitution of that unit will not dictate who becomes the leader. So he has not even committed that crime, even in the call for secession. He has not even committed the kind of crime that Utomi committed. That's why I call for it. Get what I'm saying? I just analyzed it. He has not
formed a parallel government.
He has not given the portfolios. Both at even the unit and all of that. He hasn't done that. He's just a leader of an NGO. I'm a leader of a CU that is calling for that. And what he's calling for is provided for in our own constitution. That means the people's self-determination to stay. So you can call to say, I want to stay here and make dialogue. The only reason why some of us would criticize is if that dialogue is taken, because we are in a very sensitive society where that dialogue can be taken overboard and becomes crisis. That's what he's saying. But if you really dialogue, people can sit together to say, do I really want to stay? That's what we call federalism. Do I really want to stay in this federal state again, or do I want to pull out? Why do I have to stay? Why do you want to convince me to stay? People begin to determine what they want to do and what they don't want to do. And I said, you only suspected that is what you are doing, and you jailed him. And then somebody has come up openly to say, this is what I'm doing. I'm calling for a different Nigeria. You know, we now have Nigeria 1 ruled by President Tinubu and Nigeria 2 ruled by Pat Otomi. and we are allowing him walk the streets. That's what I'm saying. So I am calling for Orji Okalo to be released so that, like,
Nnamdi
Kanu to be released, just like the governor did say, so that they will be engaged in dialogue. You know, one thing about dialogue is, I can tell you that there are people who like to fight. When we were in university, Russia, for instance, when we were in university, there was a time in the student union thing. I just find out that there are people who will say, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that. They like that kind of thing. They can argue anything, but anytime you bring them to dialogue, they fight it. Because you know what? In dialogue, we sit down and say, please convince me. Please convince me.
You bring your strong arguments to the table.
Strong argument to the table. So if a government knows their own rules, knows what they're doing, and say, guys, we're not going to talk, let's talk. Let's sit down and talk. You see that there are compromises that will be made. But if government says, no, we are not even going to, and Nnamdi Kanu is even beating them to that. I am not a fan of the Biafra. But Nnamdi Kanu is even beating them. He's saying, allow for a referendum. Is that constitutional? Yes. Okay, call us, let us talk. Then sit them down and say, okay, let the people determine what they want to do. And do you know why people keep calling for secession? Nobody. Let me tell you, if you go to, I came from a polygamous home. I'm from a polygamous home. And you know what a polygamous home is? A mini Nigeria. In a polygamous home, you have your mothers, that means that you are state, right? Then you have your father. When a father is seen to be unfair, you will see people as objective as you are. Call back to your mother's kitchen. You are cheating our mother. But when a father puts the food at the table and say you do this and you do that, nobody will remember that there is a kitchen that calls the mother. My friend in my friend and my brother in my family today is the son of my stepsister and my stepmother. That's my friend. In fact, if they are talking about me and he's walking in, they will say, yeah, don't say he's coming, he's coming. Do you know why? Because my friend has put it on the table. We are all there sharing it. So Nigeria leadership has not put food on the table and allow anybody. Who told you that the Igbo man will want to go to their own country? Don't you know that the Igbo man is the highest stakeholder in the project called Nigeria? If you remove Igbo man in Port Harcourt is done. If you remove Igbo man from Lagos, from Kano, they are, look at all of those things. If you just remove them, and they are investing, there are one people that are, can I shock you, that most of us, even us who are equating, we don't even know how to invest in outside. And we go to our villages to build. We like a way of building in our villages. The Hausa man goes to the place to build. But the Igbo man will build in Kano and spend 3 billion naira in Kano, 4 billion. He will spend in Lagos. So it's the person who develops where he's going. And so to tell that man will literally want to leave that state where he will not become a foreigner, just be sure that man does not want it inside of him. But you are also not wanting the man to know that this project called Nigeria, that the man is involved. And the man wants you to discuss with him. What's wrong with discussing with him? Bring us together. So I am calling that, release Nnamdi Kanu, because I have not seen why you are holding him, to be honest with you. I don't know why they are holding him. Bring him to table, put him, don't come and give him to sign something that the man will not sign. Bring the man. You have even made Nnamdi Kanu more popular than you think. Because if you had dealt with this issue in the way it's supposed to be dealt with, I mean, who will be talking about that?
All right.
There's a way they will be talking at the table of the Ohanezes and all of that. All of them will sit down together and they're talking, and the council say, no, I don't want that. Even his Igbo brother will tell him, sit down, my friend. Are you the only person who is Igbo? But if you are not discussing with them, you make him more popular. Like, oh, what he's saying, he don't want to do it. So for me, and again, whether Nnamdi Kanu, his followers, like they used to call him prophet, you know, he's becoming prophetic because he says it will come up anywhere. Party Tomi has started. Sowore has started. Nobody's doing them anything.
Sowore called the president a criminal.
A criminal. And he's walking the street. And a man who has never called the president a criminal is in jail. Is incarcerated.
Now,
I'm not bringing sentiment, but I'm just saying objectively, release him, man.
All right. Very well. Nze, what is your take on this story?
I do not agree with Governor Charles
Soludo. All right.
On Mr. President releasing Nnamdi Kanu now. Now.
Right.
My reason is this. If a man who needed to attend to something by 8 a.m. is delayed till 2 a.m. and is released to go and attend to that thing. Does it make sense? We pleaded with Nigerian government under Buhari to release Nnamdi Kanu. With his Fulani sentiment, he refused. Court said releasing Nnamdi Kanu, they refused. Tinubu came in. We felt that the first thing Tinubu would have given to Nigeria, the first gift he would have given to Nigeria was Nnamdi Kanu release. And he never did. And 2 years has gone by. Now, Nnamdi Kanu's health is in question. And you want to release him. How? So that he will come out and die a free man. Whatever happens with DSS, Nigerian government, with detention of Nnamdi Kanu, let them hold him until we can ascertain the status of his health. That's my argument. So I'm not agreeing with Soludo on this matter. Let Nnamdi Kanu remain with DSS and Nigerian government until they ascertain his health status. And that's
but the lawyer has filed for release so that he can.
That's why I'm saying that I'm disagreeing with him.
No, the court actually refused that and set up a panel to investigate Nnamdi Kanu's health and also investigate the medical facility that the DSS has, if the medical facility can actually take proper care of Nnamdi Kanu. But one would say that, that dignity to life is part of our fundamental human rights. Dignity to human life. The right to even live as a person with dignity. And if this man has been crying out with regards to, he has been crying out about his health situation for a while now, and that's to a large extent, I'm still wondering how that has been treated. If Nnamdi Kanu, if anything should happen to Nnamdi Kanu while in DSS custody or Nigerian custody, I am very worried. I am very worried how it's going to affect
Laurentia,
not just Tinubu's government, but the
Nigerian state
as a whole.
Let me say this. We are here analyzing issues. We speak the mind of the people because we live with the people. We are privileged to stand or sit before the camera and talk to the whole world. Look at, when Nnamdi Kanu started making complaints about his health status, Nigerian government turned a deaf ear. Now, it has come to a point that in fact, it became obvious that they now they tested him and they came out to say, truly this guy is not sound again. One man came up and debunked everything from nowhere, and it went agog in the media. Now, the government had to set up a panel of medical professionals, and they went and they tested Nnamdi Kanu and ascertained that this man's health has gone down. Though court had not agreed to the plea of the lawyer, because even me disagreed with the lawyer. You want to bring him out now to go and treat, who will treat him? Let he who inflicted him treat him. And I will accuse DSS that whatever they did to Nnamdi Kanu, maybe they had injected him or had poisoned him.
You can't say that.
I say maybe. Hold on, let me come.
That statement can incite crisis.
Yes,
and it's not right.
We are trying not to incite crisis.
Don't bring forth conspiracy theories to that effect.
It is a conspiracy theory to you, but I'm saying that, let DSS, whatever happened to Nnamdi Kanu, we know we are humans. We are susceptible to health challenges. Now that it has happened to Nnamdi Kanu, let Nigerian government, together with DSS, carry Nnamdi Kanu to any part of the world, not national hospital. They shouldn't send him to national hospital to treat. Let them take him to any part of the world and treat him. When Nnamdi Kanu is ascertained to be health sound, they can bring him and release him to us. Then we can begin, if there is need for dialogue, we can enter into. How will Charles Soludo ask Nnamdi Kanu to come now and dialogue when he is having health issues? Are you sure that his brain is even active? Are you sure that his heart is still working? So let them treat him. By the time his health has been ascertained to be sound, then let him be released.
Right.
And they will apologize to people of Southeast to deliberate on the incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu. Nigerian government will apologize and DSS will apologize.
Okay, Chizzy, as we round up this particular story, I heard you shaking your leg when I saw you shaking your leg when Nze was talking, and I know you have something to say as we round up. Go ahead.
What I just said is that please release Nnamdi Kanu, because sometimes as a human being you see that confinement can deteriorate your health. You know, just not being free. You know, there are certain things you enjoy being free. I just traveled and I knew that where I was a little bit confined. As a village man who does go to here and there, I was confined. People said I was getting fat, but I wasn't comfortable with it. All my head, this is where I'm coming down, because there are kai that I would have just drank, that I wasn't drinking. And that's not good for me. You know, so I want them to please release Nnamdi Kanu, at least so that there will be a renegotiation for our state. That's part of bringing everybody together
and healing the Igbo healing the Igbo nation.
We are not just healing the Igbo nations, healing not only Igbo. You might think that Nnamdi Kanu's interest is just Igbo, just the Igbos that are reducing it to ethnic thing. There are Hausa men who also are interested in Nnamdi Kanu. Please just release him, and then jail.
For you.
Yeah, sure. All right. The final statement in a minute.
To me, let Nnamdi Kanu be well treated and ascertained before being released. For other people who are forming parallel government, or not parallel, shadow government, it is not ideal. In the now, let us put our hands together to see how we can help Bola Tinubu move Nigeria forward, if he is willing to move Nigeria forward.
All right, very well. Thank you so much, Nze, and thank you so much, Chizzy, for coming on Open Conversation. It was a pleasure having you both.
Why are you calling me Chizzy? I'm looking at Chizzy.
Well, thank you so much, Chizzy, for coming once again. It's a pleasure. And thank you so much, our viewers, for staying connected to us. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Open Conversation. I remain Ogu Laurentia. Transition News comes up next. Do not go away.
Access to our money in the bank. There are POS operators. She said 3,000 is 1,000 to collect 3,000.